How are you guys? In this video, we're gonna be talking about the two most common mistakes. These are big ones too, that older gentlemen make when dating younger chicks. When I say older, I'm gonna say more seasoned gentlemen. Okay, they've got the rack together, they've made some bank, and they really struggle with these two things a lot with chicks. Let's talk about these two mistakes that successful, more seasoned gentlemen make when trying to date younger chicks. Some of you guys watching may be familiar with the Doki. And he was dubbed the most interesting man in the world, as well as a sex figure for many younger women. I'm not sure they cast this guy, and he checked all the right boxes. He was dubbed the most interesting man on the planet. Most older men make the mistake of being uninteresting when attempting to attract younger women. They don't have much going on in the world, and I don't mean to disparage them. There are a lot of guys my age and older who have made a difference in the world. They may or may not have been married. They may or may not have children. They may or may not have children, but they are not particularly interesting. They don't have any personal interests aside from what they might have used as identifiers in the past, such as husband or CEO of a company, before selling out for a 7- or 8-figure exit, for example. Guys are lethal weapons. They have money. They understand how to be successful. They understand the art of the deal and know how to do it. They understand things like employee hiring practices, human resources, packaging, and sales, among other things. They're world-class at many things, but they've spent far too much time during that time. They are not specifically honing their own personal skills and hobbies. Okay, let me give you an example. You can basically do whatever you want to chicks except bore them. If you're an older man, inviting a younger woman into your day, into your life as a date may be your date to multiple chicks, or you may be ex-exclusive. I'm not sure. It makes no difference. They will not be bored. You can't be a dull guy. Chicks despise boredom. Even if you're older, successful, and half-bank. If you're not interesting, if you don't give them something to get excited about, she'll leave you alone. When she discovers that a lot of guys get ghosted, she's probably not going to want to devote any more time to. They're like, I don't get it. I've amassed a sizable fortune. I'm quite successful. My divorce is finalized. My children are all grown up. Why can't I seem to get the girls? Then you start asking them questions like, what are your hobbies? When you go on dates with them, what are you inviting them to do? And by the way, you're not entering their world as a successful older man. Okay, she's been invited into your world. She isn't interested. Come over, hang out, listen to her music, hang out with her friends, dress like her, hang out with guys her age, hang out with a hat side to back type of thing. She is not particularly interested. Some guys believe that's what they want, but that's not the case. What they really want is to be invited into your world to participate in exciting activities. The guys who get it, and you'll see posts like this on social media, Instagram, and even places where young hot chicks hang out. These magnificent yachts and boats. These hot young ladies do not own those boats. They're generally older and more successful men. Exotic cars are the same way. For example, you must provide them with something to look forward to that they cannot obtain from their demographic. Rage-filled men aren't particularly mature. They're not particularly entertaining or interesting. If I'm being honest, there are a lot of Chad-looking guys who look like alpha males that aren't particularly appealing in their age group. As a man ages, his appearance begins to deteriorate. There's no doubt about it, but how about your level of, hey, I'm an interesting guy. I'm the most fascinating man on the planet. That's what you need to focus on. You must have interests. I don't care what they are as long as they are interesting. It can't be something dull that doesn't give her something to be excited about. I had this guy who was completely sucking on girls, and I asked him, what are your hobbies? Do you invite them into these things? No, I just generally have a coffee and a dinner, or I buy them dinner, and it's you're basically leading with beta bucks. The second thing that guys do wrong, incredibly wrong, is they lead with money. And all that's gonna do is put you in a position where you're gonna either become a sugar daddy or you're gonna be buying them dinners, paying them rent, basically becoming an am. And if you're leading with beta bucks, you know the side of the gay equation. And if you don't know what that is, with hypergamy, chicks are basically dating across and up. And there's two parts to that equation. The main point is that you're either leading with money or leading with your appearance. You are Chad. There are fewer older, successful, seasoned men who still look great if you're an older guy. There are some Hollywood examples, such as the Brad Pitts of the world who are over 50. But more often than not, you aren't checking that box. You haven't spent your entire life being defined by your appearance. Focus. It's simply not in the equation. So that'll have deteriorated a little. And the main mistake most of these guys make is they lead with money. Allow me to buy you dinner and pay your rent. Allow me to be your sugar daddy. If you lead with that, you're essentially leading with the fact that you're an automatic telling machine, handing out free money because they're beautiful. Because they're attractive, you're giving them free money and validation. And if you start with that, you're going to have a bad time. And many of these guys are perplexed as to why they are only interested in my money. If you lead with your money and wealth, that's all they'll be interested in. Because you're only offering them the bit of buck side of the hypergamy equation. You must be interesting, and ideally, lead a little deeper into the optics of attraction and masculinity. A lot of older guys will tend to let themselves go. They'll get fat. They'll become obese. They're not particularly attractive. They don't have a look. You've got to do what you can. Still the looks max, even as an older. Because money is one part of the equation, but you still have to be interesting, funny. These are some of the topics you can discuss. Most guys who have made a name for themselves and made money have had an ex after exiting a business or two. You may have the opportunity to sit down and say, "Yeah, I understand what you're doing there, and I can offer some insight." That is not something she is at, from a younger kid around her age. So these are all some things that you gotta consider when you're an older seasoned gentleman. Meaning I want you younger guys to listen up to this, and especially the older guys, because many of you are making this mistake. Men are spending way too much time either leading with money, the beta bucks part of the equation, or they're boring. You can do anything to chicks you want, but do not bore them. It's as simple as that, gents.